Oh, hello, Pennsylvania. What a great
Let me fill you in on Trump's latest debacle at the Leo Chorus Center. Picture this: a stadium built for 10,000 people, but instead of a cheering crowd, it was painfully empty. In a desperate attempt to hide the embarrassment, they draped flags and cloths over the vacant seats, trying to create the illusion of a full house. It was almost laughable, akin to putting makeup on a lifeless body.
which he doesn't have any authority whatsoever to do. He's not allowed to finance. And by the way, the federal government looked at it, turned it down. It's a garbage case that he himself rejected a year earlier. When Bragg came into office, he's the district attorney.
The turnout was remarkably low, with estimates suggesting only 2,000 to 3,000 attendees at most, barely a third of the stadium's capacity. It's evident that enthusiasm for Trump is waning despite assertions from him and his supporters. Large sections were visibly empty, with only scattered individuals attempting to generate some energy. It resembled more of a sparsely
A year earlier, when Bragg came into office, he's the district attorney. He said, I'm not doing this case. This case is bullshit. And then what happens? He does the case. And you know, here's the thing. They could have done this case 7 years ago. You know the way they're trying to rush it? This case would have been fine 7 years ago. Do whatever you want. They do it right smack in the middle of our election campaign. And I talk about our campaign.
One attendee who seemed unimpressed remarked, "I'd seen busier PTA meetings." Another observer noted the press area was strategically positioned to conceal the vacant seats, suggesting they anticipated the lackluster turnout. Nevertheless, with thousands of empty seats visible, the event seemed undeniably desperate.
People, he can't win an election. He can't put two sentences together. He can't find the stairs on a platform to walk off after he makes about a 2-minute speech. Here they are. I got 1, 2.
The atmosphere matched the lackluster turnout, with attendees either sitting quietly or awkwardly scanning the scene, questioning their presence. The energy was subdued, excitement non-existent, and the event felt more like a solemn gathering than a spirited political rally, a stark contrast to the packed stadiums Trump once boasted about.
A windmill that doesn't work. Darling, I'd like to watch television. I'm sorry, the wind.
Now, let's discuss Trump's speech at the Faith and Freedom Conference in Washington, D.C., which many viewed as a train wreck. If you thought his rally at the Leo Chorus Center was chaotic, this speech reached a new level of bizarre. Trump's remarks were erratic, filled with wild accusations and nonsensical statements that left the audience bewildered. Among his many outlandish claims, Trump attacked President Biden, suggesting absurdly that Biden would show up to debates under the influence of drugs. Trump even stated, a little before debate time, he gets a shot in the ass, likening the situation to a poorly scripted comedy sketch.
Didn't help when they went along with the Biden scam. What does he call it? What does he call it? Do you know what he calls it? So they get him in about 9 different positions. I mean, even normal positions, although I assume he's been in some very bad ones. But they get him in all these horrible, compromising posts. And then they say he wasn't, it really was.
But it didn't end there. Trump veered into a tangent about windmills of all things, deriding the Green New Deal as a Green New scam and launching into a rant about his disdain for windmills. He sarcastically proposed, "Let's build a windmill on every corner, a windmill that doesn't work, darling. I'd like to watch television, but I'm sorry, the wind isn't blowing tonight." His attempt to channel an inner stand-up comedian fell flat, leaving his audience perplexed.
Throw it up here, though. They take a perfect, brilliant, beautiful statement that I make. I go for 2 hours without teleprompters. And if I say one word slightly out, they say he's cognitively impaired.
There was Trump's attempt to defend his cognitive abilities. He seemed to think everyone was out to get him, claiming the media twists his words to make him look bad. He said, "I go for 2 hours without teleprompters, and if I say one word slightly off, they say he's cognitively impaired." It was classic projection, trying to shift the focus away from his own incoherence. What made it almost as big as the drug-dealing stuff? You know what it was? The internet. One of the most outrageous parts of this speech was his proposal to have migrants fight UFC fighters. Yes, you read that right. Trump said he talked to Dana White from the UFC about starting a migrant fight league where migrants would fight UFC champions. He actually said, "I told Dana White UFC, I said, here's what we're going to do. At the end of the year, the champion migrant is going to fight your champion." It was so absurd that you almost couldn't believe he said it. Trump also boasted about his supposed accomplishments, including his friendship with Kim Jong-un. He said, Kim Jong-un liked Trump. He liked Trump, got along with him good. It was going to be a nuclear war. He liked me. We had no problem. It was as if he genuinely believed that being friends with a dictator was a badge of honor. He didn't stop there. Trump praised the Rasmussen poll, calling it the most respected poll out there, but quickly added that if they ever showed him losing, he'd declare the poll fake. "Of course, if we get a bad one, I'll take that back," he said. It was a perfect example of his cherry-picking reality to suit his narrative. Trump wrapped up his tirade by claiming that crime is on the rise under Biden, despite all evidence to the contrary. He said, "Crooked Joe Biden is going around trying to claim that crime is down. Crime is so much up. In reality, FBI data shows that violent crime has decreased during Biden's term, but Trump was never one to let facts get in the way of a good scare tactic. It's almost like he's living in his own reality, and his accusations against President Biden are a prime example of that." Trump actually claimed that Biden would show up to the debates jacked up on drugs. He said, a little before debate time, he gets a shot in the ass, and that's how he's going to show up to the debate. Can you imagine a former president making such a wild and unfounded accusation? It's beyond absurd.
All gone. We had the safest country ever. Kim Jong-un liked Trump. He liked Trump. Got along with him good. That was going to be a nuclear war. He liked me. We had no problem. By the way, he's not happy right now.
There's absolutely no evidence to back up this ridiculous claim. It's a typical Trump tactic, throwing out unfounded accusations to divert attention from his own shortcomings. This kind of projection is a pattern we've seen from him time and time again. It's as if he believes that by loudly accusing others, no one will notice his own issues. But let's be real here. Accusing Biden of doping before debates isn't just far-fetched, it's downright laughable. Then there's his bizarre rant about the Green New Deal and windmills. Trump labeled it the Green New Scam and launched into a nonsensical tirade against windmills. He said, "Let's build a windmill on every corner, a windmill that doesn't work. Darling, I'd like to watch television. I'm sorry, the wind isn't blowing tonight." This irrational disdain for windmills is just another one of Trump's efforts to mock and undermine clean energy initiatives. It seems he's stuck in the past, refusing to acknowledge the benefits of renewable energy simply because it doesn't fit his narrative.
This because they're fake news. But last night, Rasmussen, which is, in my opinion, the most respected poll out there. Now, of course, if we get a bad one, I'll take that back. If I had a bad poll, if they come out with a bad poll in a month from now, I'll say Rasmussen is terrible. But Rasmussen, no, it is a highly respected pollster. And they came out with a poll last night that Trump is 10 points up.
Trump's remarks about windmills are not just irrational, but also misleading. Wind energy is a reliable and expanding source of power. In reality, wind turbines are highly efficient and play a critical role in reducing our reliance on fossil fuels. However, Trump, in his typical fashion, prefers to spread misinformation. His evident disdain for windmills appears almost personal, as if they have somehow wronged him. This is yet another example of how he distorts facts to fit his agenda. During his speech, Trump also complained about how the media supposedly distorts his words to portray him as cognitively impaired. He boasted, "I go for 2 hours without teleprompters, and if I say one word slightly wrong, they say he's cognitively impaired." He seems to believe that simply speaking for 2 hours straight is proof of his mental sharpness.
Biden came to office crooked as a $3 bill. I used to say $2 bill, but they make $2 bills, right?
But here's the thing. His speeches are often rambling, incoherent, and filled with bizarre tangents. In the same speech, he went off on nonsensical rants about Biden, windmills, and even made a strange comment about toothbrushes being unavailable. These erratic jumps and confused statements don't exactly suggest mental acuity. In fact, quite the opposite. Experts and psychologists have analyzed Trump's cognitive health. Noting concerning signs, Dr. Bandy X. Lee, a forensic psychiatrist, has pointed out symptoms of cognitive decline, such as his inability to focus, fragmented speech patterns, and repetition of certain phrases. These characteristics are not indicative of mental sharpness, but rather suggest that something may be amiss. While Trump claims that his long, unstructured speeches demonstrate his cognitive health, the reality paints a different picture. His frequent incoherence and the need to vigorously defend his mental state only fuel suspicions about his cognitive abilities. It's evident that his defenses are weak and fail to alleviate concerns about his mental fitness. What do you think about this? Share your thoughts in the comments below.